Bandeham Shri Guru Shriyatam Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parejana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha Om Agyana Timrandasha Gyanajana Shalakya Chakshurunritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Guruganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyad Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanum Suchanda Baranam Balarka Chelan Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyambudim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bande Tam Shivaram Madhika Sharanam Nyashishvara Sridharam Vanshakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So today is July 2nd, Friday, and today on our Vaishnav calendar is the disappearance day of Sri Pushta Krishna Prabhu. He disappeared 2 years ago on the 24th of June, but our calendar is not calculated the same as the solar calendar. So today is his divine disappearance day. And I knew Pushta Krishna for many years from the very early days when I came to Bombay, now Mumbai, in 1971 and received first initiation from Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And a few weeks later, Pushta Krishna Prabhu arrived from Pakistan, where he had been preaching, where now some war was about to break out. There was some reverberations in that time, and he came to Mumbai, where Srila Prabhupada was, and there we met. I'd just been in India a week or so when he also arrived. And then we talked, and from that time on, I've had friendship with Pushta Krishna Prabhu and known his family, his wife Daru Brahma, and his son Chaitanya Das, and Srila Govinda Maharaj. He also knew Pushta Krishna very well, and Pushta Krishna helped with the mission and helped in the construction of the temple in Samadhi, I believe, in Vrindaban. So today is his divine disappearance day, that of Pushta Krishna Prabhu. And now I'm going to read from Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur, a translation by Sarva Bhavana Prabhu. And this is the Adi-khanda, chapter 10, the marriage of Nimai and Laksmipriya. Puede cerrar la puerta. Adi-khanda, chapter 10, the marriage of Nimai and Laksmipriya. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, Sri Gaurachandra. He is the Lord of Lords and the most cherished love of Lord Nityananda. He possesses an eternal transcendental form. O Lord, mercifully look upon the conditioned living souls. All glories to you, for you are the best of the Brahmins, the son of Sri Jagannath Mishra. All glories to your devotees, the most elevated souls. You are an ocean of compassion, and your beautiful eyes are like lotus petals. Be so kind, O Lord, as to grant this prayer. May I remain eternally absorbed in your magnanimous character. Please read in this chapter about Lord Chaitanya's pleasurable pastimes as a young scholar. He totally absorbed himself in scholarly pursuits, not finding time for anything else. After completing his daily Brahminical duties, early each morning, the Lord of the universe, Sri Nimai Pandit, went to the house of Sri Gangadas Pandit. Students who respected him as an authoritative scholar and considered themselves his disciples accompanied him. At Gangadas's place, he conducted debates. Many students who were not in his group for the debate and who did not submit to his tutorship were affronted or slighted by Nimai and his followers. After establishing his arguments in the debate, Nimai would discuss the different points he had made with his group, just as the other groups would do. Murari Gupta was not amongst Nimai Pandit's group, so Nimai confronted him and refuted his arguments. Nimai wore his dhoti neatly wrapped around his slim, elegant frame and sat amidst the students in the mood of a valiant prince. The sandalwood paste tilak decorating his forehead shone with a soft golden glow, and his exquisite and regular set of teeth were so effulgent that brilliant white pearls looked old and lackluster in comparison. At age 16, Nimai's youth blossomed like spring. He was beauty personified, and even Cupid fell captive to his charm. The erudition he exhibited in his pastimes as a scholar far superseded the knowledge and learning of Brihaspati. If any of the students tried to learn the scriptures on his own, Nimai was quick to taunt him. The Lord would challenge, "Who is here? Where is a great scholar to refute my arguments?" Without even knowing the rules of proper conjugation, some persons try to understand grammar by themselves and fool themselves into complacency. Yet in spite of their vanity, because of their ignorance, they cannot answer my arguments properly. They cannot even debate the arguments properly. Murari Gupta heard these provocative and boastful words of the Lord, but remained silent and continued to do his work. Still, Nimai would not leave him alone. He taunted Murari Gupta at every opportunity, but seeing the calm reaction of his dear servant, the Lord was actually very satisfied. Once Nimai said to Murari Gupta, "You are a Vedic doctor. Why do you study grammar here? Go to your leaves and herbs and make a compound so you can cure the sick. Grammar is extremely difficult to learn. Here there is no mention of mucus, bile, or indigestion. How do you want to accomplish anything in learning grammar just by studying on your own? Rather go home and try to cure the sick." So Murari Gupta was the partial expansion. Sri Murari Gupta was a partial expansion of Rudra, Lord Shiva, and had a volatile temper. Yet Lord Vishwambar could not see a single trace of anger in him. In reply, Murari Gupta said, "O learned Brahmin, please tell me one thing. I see that you taunt everyone. Why are you so arrogant? On what subjects have you not received a proper answer from me? Whether the discussion was on verb rules, astrology with its different purports, or other philosophical questions, I have answered them all. Now, without asking and waiting for a reply, you taunt me, saying, 'What do you really know? You're a learned Brahmin, so why do you act like this? What more can I say?' All right, discuss and analyze what you have read today," said Nimai. Murari Gupta began his explanation, and the Lord immediately his explanations, and the Lord immediately refuted them. Murari Gupta began his explanations, and the Lord immediately refuted them. Murari Gupta explained in a certain way, but the Lord would explain the same subject in another way. Neither the master nor his servant could defeat the other. By the Lord's influence, Murari exhibited great erudition, and Nimai was extremely pleased by Murari's explanations. The Lord placed his soft lotus hands on Murari Gupta, and upon receiving that sublime touch, Murari experienced indescribable bliss. This Nimai cannot be an ordinary person, thought Murari to himself. How would it be possible for an ordinary person to possess such vast learning? My body felt such spiritual excitement just by the touch of his hands. I think that I should not be ashamed to learn under his tutorship. There is no one as intelligent or as learned in all of Navadip. Then Murari Gupta, the Ayurvedic doctor, submitted to the Lord. O Vishwambar, I will learn under your tutorship. In this affectionate manner, the master and his servant interacted. The Lord then took all his friends to the Ganges for a bath. The divine pastimes of Sri Chaitanya as a scholar were enacted in this mood. Sri Mukunda Sanjay Sri Mukunda Sanjay is truly a very fortunate soul, for in his house in Navadip, the Supreme Lord displayed many of these scholarly pastimes. Mukunda's son was studying under Nimai Pandit, and he himself was deeply attached to the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Next to Mukunda's house was the temple of Goddess Durga, and in that courtyard, students came to sit around the Sri Nimai, crowding the entire compound. There sat and taught Nimai Pandit, the best of the Brahmins. It looked as though Lord Gauranga was holding a court of scholars. Nimai Pandit would deliver many explanations and establish many arguments, and then he would refute those arguments with new arguments. He often spoke out against other teachers in Navadip. Once the Lord said, sometimes people do not even possess fundamental knowledge about conjugation, but because it is Kali Yuga, such a person accepts the title of Bhattacharya. Let me see if any of these Bhattacharyas can find discrepancies in my arguments and explanations. Then I will accept when they flout their big titles like Bhattacharya and Mishra. In this way, the Lord would act like a proud scholar. None of his students could understand his mood, nor could they recognize him as their worshipable Supreme Lord. So in these pastimes, the Lord is playing the part of a Pandit. He is Nimai Pandit, and he is acting as a scholar and very proud, and not yet revealed his Sankirtan mission. Sachi Mata one day realized that her son had grown into a handsome young man, and she started thinking about his marriage. Sri Vallabhacharya, a good and pious Brahmin, was then residing in Navadip. He was equal to King Janaka, the father of Sita Devi, and in every respect, his daughter possessed unsurpassed beauty. She was Lakshmi Devi, and the goddess of fortune in person. Her father was constantly thinking about finding a suitable match for her. By divine arrangement, Sri Lakshmi Devi once met Sri Gaurasundar on the banks of the Ganga when they each had gone for a bath. Lord Gaurachandra immediately recognized his eternal consort and smiled sweetly at her. Lakshmi Devi also recognized her eternal master and offered him prayers as she clasped his lotus feet. Both the transcendental personalities recognized each other, and they returned home in blissful expectation. Who can understand such sublime and supramundane pastimes of the Supreme Lord? Again, by arrangement of the Lord, a Brahmin named Vanamali came to visit Sachi Mata. After they exchanged respectful greetings, Sachi Mata affectionately offered the Brahmin a seat. Then Sri Vanamali Acharya asked, "Why aren't you seriously considering your son's marriage? In Navadip resides a very pious and elevated Brahmin. He is pure, he always follows the path of religion, and he is a descendant of a good line of Brahmins." Then Sri Vanamali Acharya asked, "Why aren't you seriously considering your son's marriage? In Navadip resides a very pious and elevated Brahmin. He is pure, he always follows the path of religion, and he is a descendant of a good line of Brahmins. His daughter is certainly not inferior to Lakshmi Devi in beauty, character, or respectability." "My son has lost his father," replied Sachi Mata. "Let him study further and grow a little older, then I shall certainly consider his marriage." The apathetic reply made Vanamali feel dejected, and he left Sachi's house. Nevertheless, by divine arrangement, on his way home, he met Sri Gauranga. As soon as the Lord saw Vanamali, he affectionately embraced him. "Please tell me who you are. Please tell me who you were just visiting," inquired the Lord. "I came to pay my respects to your mother," answered Vanamali. I brought up the subject of your marriage to her, but I don't know why she didn't respond positively to it." The Lord fell silent, and after having offered due respects to the Brahmin, he went home, smiling within himself. At home, he immediately spoke to his mother. "Why didn't you favor the Brahmin's proposal?" Sachi Mata was more than pleased, for she could understand the Lord's indication. The next day, she requested Vanamali to return and told him, "The proposal you made yesterday, I request you to please act on it immediately." After touching her feet in respect, the Brahmin went straight to the house of Vallabhacharya. Sri Vallabha received the Brahmin with all respect and offered him the seat of honor. "I think it is time you arranged your daughter's marriage," said Vanamali. "I have found a fit candidate for her. His name is Vishwambar. He is the son of Sri Jagannath Mishra, a very elevated and respectable Brahmin. Vishwambar is most scholarly, and he is certainly an ocean of all good qualities. Please consider these points and tell me how you feel." Vallabhacharya was extremely pleased. He said, "Only through accumulating immense piety could a girl get such a husband. If Krishna were pleased with me, or if the goddess of fortune were satisfied with my daughter, only then could I ever hope for such a son-in-law. Please do not delay. Proceed with this proposal and complete all the necessary details. However, first, one thing I must mention, though I feel hesitant to speak about it. I have no means to give anything as a dowry. I can simply give my daughter and 5 pieces of the auspicious haritaki fruit. Kindly convey this to them." The Brahmin was extremely satisfied with Vallabhacharya's attitude, and he returned to Mother Sachi's house with the news of his success. "They are agreeable," he requested. "Now we have to choose the right day and right moment according to astrological calculations." The news spread. Close relatives and friends were jubilant, and they all came forward with great enthusiasm to make themselves useful for the occasion. A special ceremony held before the day of the marriage was conducted at an auspicious time amidst festivities where professional dancers and musicians performed. Brahmin priests sat in the four corners. Brahmin priests sat in the four corners of the wedding arena. Brahmin priests sat in the four corners of the wedding area and chanted Vedic mantras. In the middle sat the crown jewel of the Brahmin class, Lord Gauranga, as brilliant as the rising full moon. At the end of the function, the Brahmins were gifted with incense, sandalwood, flower garlands, and spices. According to custom, Sri Vallabhacharya had also come and performed his ritualistic duties. On the day of his wedding, Nimai respectfully offered oblations to his forefathers at dawn. The sound of sweet music and the tinkle of dancers' ankle bells filled the air. Sounds of joyful chatter came from all directions. The guests that came were numerous, and large groups of chaste women thronged the place. Relatives and respectable Brahmins also came. Sachi Mata satisfied all the chaste housewives with gifts of fruit, grains, vermilion, oils, and other commodities. Different demigods, along with their wives, also came in human forms to see the marriage of the Lord. Vallabhacharya performed his many rituals with increasing pleasure. In the evening, just before sunset, Nimai went to the house of Sri Vallabhacharya at the chosen auspicious time. He was accompanied by many people, and when he arrived, all the guests felt submerged in waves of ecstasy. Vallabhacharya offered the Lord a seat with utmost respect, strictly according to the rules of the scriptures. He felt an indescribable joy within. Finally, he brought his daughter Lakshmi Devi, fully decorated with beautiful ornaments, and presented her to the Lord. According to the marriage customs, Lakshmi Devi was lifted off the ground and carried 7 times around the Lord. The chanting of Hari's name resounded, but Lakshmi sat with folded hands and offered silent prayers to the Lord. During the auspicious ceremony of exchanging glances between bride and bridegroom, people showered flowers jubilantly from all directions on Sri Lakshmi and Sri Narayan. That Sri Narayan, Vishnu, had appeared as Lord Gauranga, and Sri Lakshmi offered him a garland of flowers at his lotus feet. She worshipped him, surrendering herself as though she were those very flowers. Joyous sounds accompanied by loud chanting of Lord Hari's name rent the air. It was the only sound to be heard in any direction. The Lord drank in the moonlight beautiful face of Sri Lakshmi Devi as he sat with her on his left. His blooming, youthful beauty excelled the attractiveness of Cupid himself. Who can possibly describe in detail the joy in Sri Vallabha's house? Looking like Bhishma Dev, Sri Vallabhacharya then sat down to give away the bride. The Lord was exquisitely decorated with flower garlands and sandalwood paste and wore beautiful shining clothes. Vallabhacharya poured water on his lotus feet. Those same lotus feet which are washed and worshipped by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva in order to acquire the strength and potency to create this material world. The Brahman then offered his daughter according to the regulations in the scriptures, and all the while felt waves of ecstasy within his heart. The rest of the ceremonies were conducted properly, and the Lord spent that night in their house. The next morning, Nimai returned to his own house with Lakshmi Devi. They were carried on a palanquin, and people came from everywhere to see the Lord and his bride, beautifully decorated with flowers, gold ornaments, studded crowns, and sandalwood paste artistically dotted over their beautiful faces. Sri Lakshmi Devi and Sri Narayan were effulgent with a transcendental glow. People all around acknowledged their own good fortune at seeing this divine couple. The ladies respectfully stood mesmerized at the sublimely beautiful sight. One lady commented, she must have worshipped Lord Shiva and Parvati for a long time with great devotion. Otherwise, it could not be possible to get a husband like him. Perhaps they themselves are Lord Shiva and Parvati. They are either Indra and Sachi or Madan and Rati, said another lady. Someone else suggested, no, they must be Lakshmi and Narayan. They look exactly like Sita and Lord Ramachandra, said another woman, and they are so charming as they ride upon their Pavan.
Janardan Maharaj ki.
They look exactly like Sita and Lord Ramachandra, said another woman, and they are so charming as they ride upon their palanquin. Thus, the ladies each offered a variety of opinions as they watched the divine couple with mixed wonder and joy. The Lord brought his new bride home in the evening amidst joyful tumult, sweet music and laughter. Sachimata went out to meet the newly wed couple and brought them into the house. She felt infinite joy and bustled around, distributing valuable gifts to everyone and pleasing the guests with sweet words. Whoever hears with devotion this narration of the Lord's marriage will certainly be able to break the ties of material bondage. Sachi Devi felt her house glowing with a new iridescent light. Now that Lakshmi Devi was in her rightful position next to Narayan, Sri Gauranga, Sachi Devi saw Sachi Devi felt her house glowing with a new iridescent light. Now that Lakshmi Devi was in her rightful position next to Narayan, Sri Gauranga, Sachi Devi saw an extraordinary light everywhere, inside as well as outside the house. She could not describe the wonderful phenomena. Sometimes she saw a very beautiful light right next to her son, but when she would look again, it would no longer be there. At other times, she could smell the divine fragrance of flowers and lotuses, and this surprised her beyond description. She often wondered about the actual truth of all this. I think I know the reason for all this, Sachimata thought to herself. My daughter-in-law must be an incarnation or expansion of Lakshmi Devi. That is why I sometimes see a brilliant light or smell a divine lotus fragrance. My previous sufferings and our poverty seem to have vanished. I don't know how I have received this girl as my daughter-in-law, for she is certainly Lakshmi Devi. In this way, Sachimata would speculate, but the Supreme Lord Gauranga, although manifest, did not yet reveal his original and absolute identity. Who can understand wonderful activities and the potencies of the Supreme Lord? Whenever the Supreme Lord desires to act, he is free to do so. If the Supreme Lord himself does not reveal these esoteric truths, then even Lakshmi Devi does not have the potency to fathom the transcendental phenomena. All the scriptures, Veda and Puranas, repeat the same truth. No one can know the absolute truth, the Supreme Lord, without receiving the mercy of the Lord. Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu are the life and soul of this insignificant servant, Vrindaban Das, and he offers his humble song at their lotus feet. Okay, I'll stop here and we'll sing Jayani Lo Premadam. In honor of this is in honor of the passing away of Pushta Krishna Prabhu. Pushta Krishna Prabhu, he met Srila Govinda Maharaj when Govinda Maharaj did a program here in Santa Cruz at the Loudon Nelson Center. And he was immediately captivated by Govinda Maharaj. Pushta Krishna had been in ISKCON, and he had been a personal secretary for some time of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he is a very qualified person. But when he came to a program at the Loudon Nelson Center, and he saw Govinda Maharaj, who spoke and danced, Pushta Krishna was captivated. He saw the potency of Srila Prabhupada present in Srila Govinda Maharaj. And Govinda Maharaj had spent time with Srila Prabhupada also. And Pushta Krishna became very attracted. And then he came to take shelter at Srila Govinda Maharaj's lotus feet, and he would talk to the devotees in ISKCON, because he was very respected in ISKCON. He would tell them all about Srila Govinda Maharaj and preach the glories of Srila Govinda Maharaj to the devotees of ISKCON. So a very, very wonderful person. Today is his divine disappearance day, and we'll sing Jaya Nilo Premadana and then Hari Haraya. 143. 143. Jayanilo Premadana Koruna Prachur. Jayanilo Premadana Koruna Prachur. Heno Prabhu Kota Gila Charya Thakur. Heno Kaha Mora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kadasaragunata Patita Pavan Kaha Mora Bhaja Juga Kaha Kabira Ekakale Kota Gela Gora Nataraj Pashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pashibo Goranga Gunera Nidhi Kota Gile Pavo Se Saba Sangira Sange Jai Koilo Bilas Se sangana paya kande narothamada. Se sabha sangira sangye je koi lo bilas. Se sangana paya kande narothamada. Jayanilo prema dana koruna prachur. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhatta Raguna. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna. Echai Gosai Kodi Charana Bandhan. Jai Te Vignana Shabisa Puran. Echai Gosai Jarmui Taradas. Tatsabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras. Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanebas. Janame Janame More Abhilas. Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narotamudas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Gauriya. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narotamudas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtatara Sadra Shishi Mad Srila Bhakti Nirmawacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtatara Sadra Shishi Mad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Parabhajakacharya Ashtatara Sadra Shishi Mad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishordas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhadda Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Koladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindaban Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Sripad Pushta Krishna Prabhu Tirubab Mahotsav Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.